Alright, how's everybody doing? So, welcome back. We are going to do a fun little project this week. It is fruit slices, as you have no doubt noticed already. So, I'm going to take you through how to do one of these, and what I want you to do is come up with your own composition. And it could be very different. If you wanted to get more heavily into drawing instead of just having these flat slices on a top-down view, you could do that. Here's a great example of what that might look like. Slices of kiwi stacked up on top of each other. So I'll let you get as in-depth as you'd like to get with this, but for the basic version, let's just get started making fruit slices. So you're going to need a couple of things. One, obviously, is paper, but you're also going to want something like a bowl to trace to get your circle. You can also do your own circles. In fact, if it's a little bit off, sometimes it looks kind of nice because fruit does have slightly irregular shapes, so nothing wrong with drawing it by hand. So get back there. Excuse. Okay, so let's trace this. Okay, next, we're going to add the lines in between each section of fruit. Now, as far as I can tell, a orange has about 1, 2, 3. You know, it could have more than, let's see, it has like 3 sections per quarter. So it might have 12 sections, but let's just do one with 8 sections to make things easy. So we're actually drawing the line right here between the slices. So it's dark in our pencil drawing, but this is actually going to stay white as we color it in. So if you do it that way, you can add a second line straight across so that you've got a plus, and then try to cut each half of the or quarter of this shape in half like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Oranges grow irregularly, so you might get one big one and one small one. No big deal. But you do want to try to take them out to the same distance from the edge, more or less. But leave a good amount of distance there because the peel is actually a really fun part of this drawing. So don't be afraid to leave yourself lots of the peel on the edge. So I'm going to erase that back a little bit and subdivide this one. Next, we're going to add curved lines to the tops of each part, like this. And these are the divisions within the fruit. There we go. Alright, next, let's erase a little hole in the middle. This is going to stay white, so we're going to connect each slice as it comes together with a curve as well. And this is sort of the core of the orange or grapefruit, whatever citrus you want to do. It could be a lime, could be a lemon. They all grow according to the same pattern. Grapefruits are really fun, so that's what we're going to turn this into. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to color one section of fruit, and then I'll just show you how that goes, and it's the same for each section. But maybe to keep this tutorial from getting too long, I will do one part of it grapefruit, then I'll switch to orange, and then to kiwi, and then to watermelon, and just demonstrate all of those on this, and then you can do it your way. So, with the grapefruit, it's helpful to have a good number of magic markers or whatever medium you want to use. And I like to start in the corners and get like a magenta. This is called raspberry. And put that color in lightly, leaving some white spaces. The white spaces are going to help this fruit look like it's shiny, so you don't want to have to color every single part of the fruit in. You can actually get a little bit scribbly with it. It's fine. It looks great towards the end. Okay. So we've got our raspberry color in there in the corners and towards the edges just to keep things different. I'm going to take it all the way up in just a couple spots. Alright, and you'll be able to see progress pictures of all this as I did this drawing in the link, so you can check those. Alright, next, let's go straight to the middle. I'm going to go to yellow orange. Sorry, this is called golden yellow. And I'm going to throw this into the middle of the drawing, again leaving some white spaces. There we go. Simple as that. Let's take red and use this in between sparingly, again leaving some white spaces. A little bit more white space vanishes every time we use the marker, but as long as you have a little bit at the end, you're good to go. Okay, good. So let's stop right about there, and we're gonna take, believe it or not, reddish purple, just to darken down some spots way in the corners. Alright. Okay, just a couple here and there. I feel like this needs a little bit more orange, so I'm going to pull the orange out again and just hit those corners again, trying to leave some white space without leaving too much. There we go. Alright. Now if you go around, you're going to get to other areas of the fruit. You want to make sure that you leave a very thin line in between this slice and that. So if you're starting the next one out, be very mindful that you don't cross the gap, just so that there is a very thin space in between the two. And also you're not going into this space because that's left white. Okay, let's get to the peel. The peel is super fun to do. I'm going to start with yellow because it's the lightest color and tends to get left out if you don't put it in right away. So I'm coming in just a little bit from the edge of the peel, and I'm going to do this all the way around the fruit, just kind of shaking my hand a little bit. Just relax and shake your hand. Don't tense up. It'll take forever if you do. Next, I'm going to add a little orange. Orange you can just first color right along the edge, all the way up to the edge, and give yourself a couple dots here and there. And then it just sort of fades from orange through yellow into white. You can even, if you're feeling extra special, you can dot a couple pieces of red in there just to deepen it. Alright, there we go. So that is grapefruit. Let's move right along to, what do you say we do, kiwi. Okay, so kiwi is kind of a funny one in that the shape on the inside of the slice is kind of irregular. Then it's divided by a lot of lines, and I'm looking for my main green here. This is a dark green. You want to just go out from the central part of the kiwi, and you actually want to leave white lines in between each section, but very small ones. They kind of come very close together. Alright, next, surprisingly, you're going to want a lot of yellow for your kiwi, so we're just going to fill this part with yellow. You can leave these lines white if you'd like to. Helps the contrast. This yellow, once we go in with a light green, is going to just strengthen that green up and make it look extra vibrant. So I'm just dotting it in there. I'm not coating every last little bit of the fruit because having some places uncolored helps to give the fruit texture and helps it to look like there's light hitting that surface. You notice we used a lot of these kinds of strokes for the grapefruit because as a citrus fruit, it's got these strands inside of it. Kiwis, on the other hand, are a little bit more like an apple or something. They have that much more like pock-marked surface instead. Okay, next we're going to take that light green we talked about, and I'm also going to dot that throughout the whole fruit like this without filling it. If you kill all the white shapes, it might lose that charm that you need to get it to look like a really juicy piece of fruit. Okay, so we'd fill this up. Now here's an important part. You want to make sure that you fill up the radiating lines out from the center because it helps continue the look of those pockets where the seeds are held. So I'm going to fill this up. Now if I hadn't filled this up with yellow beforehand, this would look like a very bluish kiwi and it might kind of look strange. So I'm just going to keep going with this. Unlike the grapefruit, if you leave a lot of white showing through, it doesn't look quite as good. So we're going to really pepper this place with green marks. Let me get the yellow out again. Work on that. Okay, good. Next, I'm going to add those seeds in there. They just go on the ends of each green shoot that's coming out from the center. And then we can go for the skin, which is just brown and, covers the outside. I'm just going to draw it in here like this. Okay. Now, obviously, you would want to continue this all the way around to make a kiwi and leave out those sections that we talked about with the grapefruit, because a kiwi does not have fibers between its sections. In fact, it doesn't really have sections. So, on to, let's demonstrate the orange real quick. Now, the skin of the orange is going to look the same as the skin of the grapefruit. But instead of starting with a dark color on the corners, I actually like to start the orange with yellow in the corners and do that the same way that we did the sort of magenta raspberry color, I think it's called, on the grapefruit. So loading that up in the corners, and then it helps if you have both a golden yellow and an orange. But, work with what you've got. You don't need to run out to the store and buy more colors just for this. So, let's see. What did I end up with here? Orange. I want to use the orange. Oh no, this is golden yellow. I'm going to use the orange last because it's the darker of the two. Alright. Good. So, just really scribble some in there. Keep it random. It helps look like a natural orange texture. And then we're going to add a couple strands of dark orange here just to vary things. What this helps do is it looks like there's a variation in depth in the orange because some light will pass in and just pick out a yellowish color. Some light will go deep, shine back out, and carry with it the full strength of that orange color. Alright, you can even, if you want to get really in there, throw just a couple strands of red in there. It helps deepen the color a little bit. concentrate on certain areas that you want to look deeper. Don't put it everywhere. Alright, again, the skin is the same. Alright, the next would be a watermelon. So for the watermelon, I'm using pink and red and magenta. What I did was I went along the edge and just hit it with some pink. Took a lot longer than this because it was much bigger. Hit the edge with some pink and then used red pretty much everywhere except on the very edge. Again, we're speckling here instead of using strands because watermelons, you know what they're textured like. They've got that crunch, so they're more fibrous. So we're going to cover this in red and then go in with a raspberry color again near this edge and just darken it down with raspberry. That would carry all the way to the edge. But let me just quickly demonstrate how to put a seed in there. Just black, simple black mark. It can be various shapes and sizes. They tend to be in 2 rows like that. And you can even surround it with a little bit of the magenta just on one side. Alright, so that is how to draw slices of fruit. Here's the example we're working from again. Hope you guys have fun with this. Enjoy.